welcome to Sacred Flow 60. Today we're doing a summer block party, which means that we'll be using our block pretty much constantly throughout class. So you'll need 2 of these. If you didn't have your blocks, you could flow through this vinyasa just like it was any other class. But with the blocks, it just creates this like shift in the experience that I really enjoy. It just kind of makes things a little more fun, and also it like changes the way like your muscles engage with otherwise like really familiar shapes. We're playing with our comfort zone, but in a pretty low stakes way. With these blocks today, we'll be using them a lot underneath the hands and underneath the feet, building on kind of our grounding practice earlier in the week to continue exploring the relationship between the earth underneath us. So that's the plan. Just a nice blocktastic flow. Today we are going to begin in a comfortable seat, and we're going to kind of like sandwich ourselves in with these blocks. If you are going to use that playlist, you can scroll up and you can press play right now. Yay. We're going to immediately start to explore that connection with the earth by placing a block underneath the seat. And you want to place it so it has a medium height, nice and wide base, nice, sort of like it's just like a nice wide and support for the sits bones. And then we're going to place the other block right on top of the head. Hopefully your hair accommodates this. You don't have to do too much adjusting, but and I mean, as silly as it might seem, I feel like this is such a wonderful way to bring the awareness into the base of the body, all those connection points with the earth, and then to elevate the awareness also to the crown of the head, which is always like what's going on in our yoga practice. We're grounding deeply, and the deeper our roots grow, the taller, the longer, the greater we can rise that energy up towards our crown. So every time you exhale, feel the sit bones rooting deeper onto that block. And every time you inhale, feel the length and lift, up towards the block on your crown. And notice what the block on the crown especially is doing for your posture, the steadiness of your seat. Stay for one more round of breath here. And I'm going to reach up and grab a hold of that block between the hands. So again, it's going to be at its wider setting with the short edges out to the side. I want to float the arms in front of my face so the elbows are bent at a nice right angle, right in line with the shoulders. And my palms are pressing firmly on the outer edges of this block. Drawing the navel, and we're just going to do some pulses here, pressing the fingertips up to the sky, and then exhaling those elbows to be about shoulder length or shoulder height again. So this isn't going to be a big motion. Inhale, we go up. Exhale, we pulse down. You can go at your pace. And you'll immediately, or perhaps, I know I am feeling this in the shoulders. Keep the elbows hugging in, They're not splaying out. Everything is nice and lined up. Breathing nice and steady, feeling the work, the heat building in the shoulders. For another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. On the inhale, send the arms all the way up and overhead. Holding onto the block still. Now my fingers are going to kind of like wrap around the edges. Nice stretch for the arms and maybe even into the chest. And I'm going to hold the block in the right hand. As you exhale, open the arms wide. Bring the arms behind the back so you can clasp the block again in both hands. Fingers are wrapping around the short edges of the block. Open up your heart, breathe in. Breathe out. Maybe the arms are nice and long here. Next breath in, holding the block in your left hand. Circle up to the sky. Holding. Right hand, exhale, circle the arms wide, bring them around the back. Holding the block, open up your chest for that big breath in stretch. Breath out. Yes. Inhale, reaching up, grabbing the block. And then in front of the heart. Just hold that block for a moment, right in front of the heart space. Allow the shoulders to relax and breathe. We're going to go again. And if you'd like to this time bring your block in a level, you can do that just by sort of like rotating it once. Bringing everything in a little bit closer together. We're going to again bring the elbows to right angles right in front of the shoulders. Pressing firmly into that block, start your pulsations. Up, down, with the breath. Nice and steady. Good. Keep it up for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And rotating that block so it's wide again. Inhale the arms up. All the way overhead. Feel that lift and length. And holding the block in the left hand this time, we're going to go in the opposite way. Exhale, circle the arms behind the back. Holding onto the block. Inhale, open up the chest. Exhale, stay. Inhale, right arm all the way up and overhead. In the left hand, exhale, circle around. Inhale, lift and open the heart. Right hand, inhale up and overhead. And in front of heart center, exhale. Just letting your shoulders relax for a moment, feeling. And we're going to keep this block in our hands. Come off of the block under your seat. And from here, we're going to extend the legs forward and rounding the spine, reach your block towards your toes, but everything's running parallel to the earth, nice and long through the arms. Round your spine, and then very slowly rolling onto the back. And inhale that block overhead. Watch your bevo. And just feel yourself get nice and long from the tips of the fingers to the tips of the toes. Beautifully done. Bend the knees, bringing the legs in towards the chest, and then place your block at its skinniest level between the lower legs. So right here, I'm above my ankles, below my knees, just supporting the inner parts of the calves, let's say. And then I'm going to bend the knees, just set the feet on the mat for a moment, and bring the arms down by the sides. I'm going to tuck the thumbs underneath my seat, and you can choose to keep the thumbs here throughout this exercise, or Or if you'd like more of a challenge, you can bring the arms out to the sides a little bit more. But this is very supportive, especially for the low back. So with the feet grounded, I'm going to press the low back into the mat, draw the knees in, and send the legs up to the sky, squeezing that block. Beautiful. As you exhale, lower a third of the way down, and exhale it back up. Inhale, lower a third, exhale it back up. Go with your breath, lowering a third, and send it back up. If you want to go a little deeper, even maybe to a hover, you can. A few more of these leg lifts. Let's say 5 more. And some people think it's like easier to have the hands under the seat like this, and that might be true, but I also really think it helps to support the low back and really isolate that effort to the core in a way that's nice and safe. Let's go 2 more lifts. And then keeping the block between your legs, set the legs down on the mat and inhale your arms overhead. A beautiful big stretch, maybe arching the back away from the earth. Nice. Again, to bend the knees, feet on the floor, we're going to roll onto the right side. And as I roll onto the right side, I'm going to use my right arm like a little pillow. And it's up to you. You can bring this left hand in front of the chest, or maybe bring it to the hip for a little extra kind of balance work. Extend your legs long. Good. And now float the legs. So we're using the obliques, and if you have the hand on the hip, you could feel that turning on that muscle group. And then lower. Lift. And lower. You could see how the hand in front of the chest might be a little bit more supportive. Go for it if that feels good. We're just going to do some slow lifts, holding for maybe a round of breath, and then setting down. We'll do 5 more. Lots of heat building in the side body. Feels good, hopefully. Let's do 1 more. Holding that lift for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Bending the knees. We're going to just roll again onto the back. And then inhaling the arms overhead, rolling to your left side. I'm going to move so I can face you. Extending that left arm overhead. And I found that having my palm down kept me a little steadier here. Excuse me. Extend your legs long, and your hand can be either on the hip or right in front of the chest or belly. When you're ready, squeezing that block, lift your legs and set them down. Lifting. Exhale, release. Good. Three more until that long hold. This next time we lift and hold it. Good. 5. Breathe into that muscle group. 4, 3, 2, and set the legs down. Bend the knees and slowly roll onto the back. Arms overhead, nice stretch. And then draw the knees into the chest and just set your block over to the side. We're going to rock and roll into a tabletop position. Coming onto hands and knees. We're going to grab the blocks. Blocks the whole time. It's so fun. So I'm going to have the blocks so that they're at the second highest height and that this long edge is running parallel to the outside edge of the mat. Beautiful. Fingers are going to spread wide. And on the inhale, cow belly breath. Exhaling round the spine. Now, how does that feel different, than normal? Inhale, the heart opens. Feel your belly softening towards the mat, tailbone lifting. Exhale, round the spine. One more big round inhale, scooping the heart forward. And exhale, we round. Nice. Inhale, the heart opens forward and pause. You can walk the blocks forward, maybe a hand print. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. We're still on the blocks. Now, for whatever reason your blocks are like sliding here or it isn't safe, then just come off of them. I have a good amount of friction on this mat, so this is safe for me to do. I'm getting a little bit of a slip, but that's okay. Beautiful. Feeling this down dog with the blocks under the hands. Whole new set of muscle groups experiencing this stretch, I feel. We're going to bring the feet together and inhale your right leg up and back. As you exhale, step up through the hands. And I love how that's like slightly easier than normal because there's a little more space here. I'm going to drop the back knee and untuck the toes. And if you'd like, you can bring the blocks up a level or just keep them nice and low to the mat. Open your heart and breathe into that nice stretch. Feel that left hip crease opening up. The heart is opening up. Imagine that block is still resting on your head. You have a nice tall spine lifting towards the heavens. Breathe in. As you exhale, tuck the back toes, lift the knee, downward facing dog. Nice and easy, step it back. Breathe in. Breathe out. Feet together, inhale, your left leg lift high and behind. Exhale, step it up through the hands. Beautifully done. Drop the back knee, untuck the toes. And inhale, feel that lift. Draw the navel in. You can feel now, maybe after that core work, a little awareness in the belly strength, in the side body strength. Breathing in one more time. As you exhale, tuck the toes, lift the knee, downward facing dog. Beautifully done. From here, we're going to inhale to plank pose. Our hands are still in the blocks. Drop the knees and lower halfway down, modified chaturanga. Untuck the toes and inhale to upward facing dog. Hands are on the blocks. Big, beautiful stretch for the belly. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good job. This is harder than it looks, right? It feels good, but it is a challenge. We're going to bring the feet together and inhale, the right leg lifts high and behind. Exhale, step it up through the hands. Dropping the back knee, untuck the toes. Beautiful. Now I'm going to grab one of these blocks in my right hand, and as I inhale, rising up, hold that block in both hands behind the low back for a nice sort of like block assisted yoga mudra stretch in this low lunge. Feel your heart lifting towards the sky. Your fingers are wrapping around the edges of the block and almost like pulling away on either side of the block. Big breath in and out. Holding another round. As you exhale, return that block. Tuck the back toes, downward facing dog. And you can stay right here or follow me through another vinyasa. Forward to plank. Your choice, up, knees up or down for this chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathing. So good. Lifting your left leg up and back. Exhale, step it up through the hands. Nicely done. Drop the back knee and untuck the toes. Grab that left block, and as you rise up, bring it behind the back and inhale, send the arms nice and long as you lift your heart to the sky. Draw the navel in and breathe. Really nice. On the exhale, returning that block. Lifting your back knee, downward facing dog. Taking a breath. Inhale to plank pose. Knees up or down, halfway chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So nice, guys. Thank you for trying something new. On the exhale, dropping the knees to the mat. We're going to come into child's pose, but bring those blocks in a little closer. Rest your elbows on the blocks. And then allow your heart to sink down, your forehead to drop between the blocks. And with the elbows again on the blocks, point your finger, and your hands are coming to prayer. Point your fingers up to the sky, or you can bring the thumbs all the way to the back of the neck for a really nice little stretch for the underarms. Staying another breath or two. And then gently release. We're going to rise up. Oh, sorry. We're going to come into downward facing dog. I lost track of where we were going. I want to set the blocks towards the top of the mat now. We're just going to come into a regular downward facing dog. And just notice how that feels. Maybe it's a relief to be in your more conventional dog. Hands firmly on the mat, feet firmly on the mat. Nice and long through the spine and long through your legs. One more big breath in and out. And then bending the knees, look forward. Let's walk or step up to the hands. Inhale, hands to the shins, flat back, lengthening the spine. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, rise up, reach the arms to the sky. And hands to heart center. Just standing in mountain pose, arms by the sides, no supports. Just simply standing strong and tall. Lovely. So we're going to start into our first like standing series here. And we're going to have a block underneath the foot the whole time. So I'm going to place this block right in the middle of the top of my mat. So it's nice and long way to accommodate my foot. And I'm going to start by standing on it with my left foot. So when you're ready, take a moment standing on that block and just let your left foot kind of find its perfect positioning. You want to feel nice and stable. And we're going to slowly bring the hands to the hips, bring the right knee into the chest, and then reach down and place that foot for tree pose, above or below the knee. Now, if this is feeling really wobbly or almost like you're going to fall over, which I mean, I don't blame you, really, it's crazy. You can have your right toes on the mat and just rest the right heel against your left ankle. Plenty of balance work happening there. So placing that foot where you prefer, hands at heart center. Draw the navel in. Keep the gaze nice and steady. You can keep hands at heart center or send them overhead in a big V Vrikasana for 5, 4. How does that standing leg feel? 3, 2, and 1. Hands to heart center. We're going to again bring that right knee into the chest. Very slowly hinge through warrior 3. Take your time. And then stepping all the way back to warrior 2. Do your best. You can heel to that foot back. Having that left foot lifted on the block. Beautiful. Now for me, this lift, and you might want to shorten your stance too if you feel like that block is slipping in any way. Make sure you're nice and supported. So for me, with the foot lifted like this, I feel it targeting this inner thigh muscle right here, really giving me a deeper opening than I usually experience. Send the arms nice and wide. Breathing in. As you exhale, you can drop into that front thigh a little bit more. Note the effort that might be shifting in the front leg, a little more different than normal. Good. Here, another 3 deep breaths. That's 1, 2, and 3. On the exhale, straighten that front leg. Beautiful. We're going to turn those toes out a little bit, preparing for a goddess squat, but it's going to be in this kind of like asymmetrical variation where this one foot is lifted and the other foot is on the earth. Hands to heart center. Take a breath in and exhale. Bend the knees. In your nice wide-legged goddess squat. How does this feel? Beautiful. If you'd like, we can start a little pulsation, lifting a little out of the knees. Exhale, dropping the seat down. Good. Nice and slow. We'll do 5 of these. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lowering. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lowering. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lowering. The knees never completely straighten. They're still bending. Good. Good. One more time. Lift. One more time. Lower. Inhale, rising up. Legs go straight. Pivot to face front and just step forward. Coming off the block, stand in mountain pose. And just what a relief it is to feel both feet firmly on the mat. Sometimes in this, I get the sensation like I just stepped off like a trampoline or something, and like being on solid ground is almost like disorienting. But a very welcome change. Position that block, long ways, top of the mat. We're going to step forward, standing on the right foot this time. Draw the left knee into the chest, hands at heart center. Take your time, finding your balance, finding your drishti. Reach down and catch the ankle. Place it above or below the knee for tree pose. Taking the arm variation you took on the first side. Beautifully done. Hold another 3 deep breaths. Feel the sole of the foot push against the standing leg, the standing leg pushing back against the sole of the foot. One more breath. And then hands to heart center. Bring that left knee into the chest. Very slowly take it through warrior 3. Sending that leg back. Hello, plant. And then stepping back to warrior 2. Nice and slow. Good. Keeping that block under the front foot. If it feels safe, if you need to, come off the block at any point. Open the arms nice and wide. Firming the muscles of the legs. Feel them hugging into the bone as you drop into that front thigh. Gaze is steady over the front finger. Breathe. Good. Holding another 3 deep breaths. Let that sensation build. Let that heat build. And on your breath in, inhale, straighten the front leg and turn the toes to point to opposite corners of the mat. I'm going to bring the hands to heart center, taking a breath in. As you exhale, goddess squat. Reposition your feet. Make sure everything feels stable and safe. Dropping the seat down, let the knees track over the toes. So the thighs should be going in the direction of the feet. Lifting the low belly up and in. There's a little tuck of the tailbone, and we'll start our pulsation. Exhaling to lower, inhaling to lift. Moving with the breath. So nice. Let's go 3, 2, and rise up straight legs. We're just going to step forward, top of the mat, stepping off the block, enjoying a nice rooted on the earth mountain pose. Big breath in, opening the mouth. Let it go. From here, as you inhale, send the arms up to the sky, big reach. Exhale, fold in half. Our first forward bend, without blocks or any assistance, just feeling it for a moment. Inhale for your flat back. You could step back to plank pose, jump back to chaturanga, just moving through the vinyasa. No blocks for this vinyasa. Gorgeous. And if you want, you can drop the knees and take a child's pose. Maybe placing a block under the forehead for a little support. Breathing in and breathing out. And just checking in with the body. What is happening right now? Do you feel like you're working a little harder than usual? Are your muscle groups kind of a little confused? Hopefully all those things. And now from here, want to rise up and make sure we have a block at the top of the mat and a block towards the back of the mat. We're going to meet in down dog. And walk the hands back to the feet. Again, a nice forward bend, opening through the hamstrings. Inhale, flat back, lengthen the spine. Exhaling, fold back down. Rising up, reach the arms to the sky. We're still at the back of the mat. And bring the hands to heart center. Beautifully done. Now bring that block in again onto the mat. And we're going to have it so it's nice and long, running horizontally at its longest point at that lowest setting. I'm going to step on the block with both feet. Beautiful. So normally we're coming into chair pose here. Normally we bring a lot of weight into like the balls of the feet, the front of the feet, or rather the heels rather. But here the heels might be hanging off the back. The toes are going to be hanging off the front. I'm just going to focus on that sort of like arch area of the foot. Drop the seat and inhale the arms up to the sky. Squeeze the legs together. Drop your seat a little bit lower. And I love this because you're really like perched up. It brings the awareness into that center line. Taking another inhale, drop your seat a little lower. And as you exhale, fold in half, nice and slow. This might be tricky because you're on the block. You can bend the knees as much as you need to for this fold. We're going to walk the hands forward very slowly, coming into plank pose. And now adjust it so just the toes are on the block. Here we are. Good job. Take a breath in. Now as you exhale, I'm going to step the right foot to the outside of my hands. That might take a couple tries. For a little lizard lunge, the hands are under the shoulders. Their back toes are still on the block. I'm going to hug this right knee into my shoulder. Draw your navel in. Good. We're here for 5. 4. Really deep rounds of breath. 3. 2. Very slowly, try to step back to plank pose. Toes are on the block. Take a breath in. Step that left foot to the outside of your hands. Find the hands under the shoulders for your long lizard lunge here. Breathing deep. 5. 4. 3. 2. And plank pose. Step it back. Pause. And then slowly walk the hands back to your feet. And as you do it, you might have to shift on the block so the soles of the feet are back on the block. And then you can just ragdoll once you're here. Careful. Beautifully done. Now, while you're back here, we're going to walk the hands forward and just perch the feet on the block. So you're kind of like on your toes. You can lift your heels. We're going to bend the knees and come into crow pose. So I'm bringing the knees to the backs of the arms as high as I can get them. I'm crouched nice and deep here. You can see my hips are kind of resting on my heels. My knees are nice and wide and making that connection almost into the armpits of my arms. Of course, what other armpits are there? And I'm just going to rock forward. And maybe you keep your toes on the block. That's cool. Or you can lift them off the block, coming into the full arm balance. I'll leave that choice to you. This is a nice place to kind of like practice crow if you aren't really into actually lifting. Rocking forward on the hands is plenty of work. We're working so hard today. Beautifully done. So from here, I'm just going to hop off of the block, place it to the side, walk the hands forward, coming into plank pose. You can float through the vinyasa or press back to down dog. This will be our final vinyasa of practice. We'll meet in down dog, and then we're going to look forward and take a little hop to a seat. Whew. I feel like that built heat in a different way in my body. And I'm curious to see what your experience has been. We'll talk afterwards. So I'm going to just bring my blocks together, scoot them toward the back of the mat, and then roll onto my back. Bend in the knees. The feet are going to land on the floor. Grab your block and place it between your knees. Open the arms up to a T or goalpost them, and then float the legs so that the knees are at right angles. Flexing the feet, we're going to go side to side. Not all the way into a twist, maybe halfway or a third of the way there. Side to side. And then let the knees fall all the way over to the right. You can scoot your hips around a little bit if you like. Keeping the block between the knees. Again, shifting the experience just a bit. Inhaling back to center. You can send your knees over to the left. That block is still between the legs. Shift your hips. Align your spine. Just get yourself in a place that's comfortable. Don't worry about making adjustments. It's just all part of the process. It's fine. And then on your inhale, coming back to center, you can rest the feet on the mat to kind of scooch everything back to the middle. Bring the knees in to catch that block, place it to the side. And in your own way here, I like to rock up to a seat to prepare myself for a heart bench. It's just a little bit easier. But if you can like slide the blocks in, that's fine. But I'm going to roll up to a seat. Place these blocks, one at the highest height, which is going to support me under the back of the head, and then the other block, nice and long ways. The second highest height is going to lift the spine between the shoulder blades. Good. So again, you never have to accept where you land. You can always make adjustments. And when you're ready, you can just lay back and just find yourself in a nice lift. And I just love a nice, like passive, restorative back bend at the end of a vinyasa class. So once you find your blocks where you like them, lying back, take a few deep breaths. And notice if you can soften the muscles along those blocks. And as the moments go by, you can make any adjustments, scooching that long block higher or lower on the spine. And once you land, finding nice, just natural rounds of breath. There's no rush. If you want to go a little deeper with this, you can bring your head block down a level. And even deeper still, taking that head block down to the lowest level. Totally up to you. This is just an option. It almost becomes a little bit like fish being in this position. Everything releasing. What is happening in your spine? Can you feel it shifting every breath? One more breath here. And then in your own way, coming off the blocks, you can bend the knees and roll off or just press yourself up. Coming to a seat for a moment. Letting the spine come back to neutral. And then grabbing your blocks one final time. We're going to roll onto the back for Savasana with those blocks at the lowest or medium setting, your choice, underneath the backs of the thighs to create a nice little lift and soft bend in the knees. Take your time finding a position that feels really good. I'm going second highest height for this lift under my legs. Just putting like a nice little like massaging pressure on the backs of my thighs. Feels good. Arms by the sides perhaps, or hands on the belly. Let's together take a deep breath in. And a full breath out. And allow yourself to become effortless in every way. And if you notice the mind starting to drift into a space of unease, or thinking through what your plans are for the day or what's waiting for you after this practice, simply acknowledge that little drift of the mind by simply saying, "Not now." Put it to the side. It can all wait for the next few minutes as you let yourself come to a complete stop. And now starting to deepen the breath. Feel the earth rising up to meet you at your back. Bring a little movement into the toes and into the fingers. Maybe rocking the head side to side. And then you can draw the knees in and roll to your favorite side. Slowly making your way up to your easy seated pose. Blocks or no blocks, totally up to you. Although it might feel good just to be securely on the earth in this moment. Bring the hands to heart center. Just feeling so grateful for this practice, for this body, for this community. Noticing your breath. I'm going to lift the thumbs to the third eye. And honoring each other, we bow as we say, Namaste. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May our thoughts, words, and actions contribute to the safety and freedom of beings everywhere. Thank you so much for joining me for this one today. I feel like I got a really good workout, surprisingly. I hope you enjoyed it and it felt kind of like new and different, and you got a little something extra out of today's practice. I love and appreciate you, and I hope to see you in class again soon.